Welcome to Rush the Field, everyone. This is your week 2 watch guide and preview. The reason why I'm doing these videos is for one simple thing. It's overwhelming to try to get into college football, whether you're out of the United States or hell, you're even in here, that there's only so many games that you can watch at a time. And I remember even in college, as a rabid college football fan, that it can be overwhelming to try to prioritize your time based off your personal life, your work life schedule. And so what I wanted to do is build a video series where you could just watch and have an understanding of why you should prioritize your time on the 6:30 slot. Maybe it's the 11 o'clock slot that you have the most amount of time, and where to prioritize your time and put your focus on. And so what we're going to try to do today is talk about the week 2 matchups. Even though it's a little bit lighter than week 1, I'll be transparent in that. So if there's a week you want to take off, it might be week 2, although we do have a marquee matchup. Big noon kickoff, college game day. The big preview shows are all going to Ann Arbor to talk about Texas versus Michigan. And I don't know if it's a hot take, because this is not a video designed for me to spew out hot takes, but I'm a little bit not as excited for this game as I was before week 1. And that's definitely an overreaction based off of Michigan's performance against Fresno State. But you have number 3 Texas going into the Big House to play number 10 Michigan. On paper, this is 2 of the biggest blue bloods in this sport going head to head in a time that you don't really expect, with all the conference realignment, that this would be the non-conference schedule for both of these programs. But hey, we're here. We're not going to be mad about it. Even Texas the following year, I think, plays Ohio State in their schedule. That's just crazy to think about. But let's focus on 2024. This is a major matchup for a multitude of reasons. Outside of the rankings, you have Michigan, who plays just a completely different style of ball than what Texas does. And Texas, in previous years, at least just last year, has shown an ability to go into a major player's stadium and win. And so this is a huge game for Sharon Moore to prove himself as the next great Michigan head coach. He hasn't had a major test because we're not counting Fresno State. With their walk-on quarterback and them not really knowing who their quarterback is, there's a ton of questions with Michigan as an offense. Donovan Edwards was not a key factor in their game. It just seemed like it was the Colston Loveland experience, I don't want to butcher his name, and friends, versus their defense that looked incredible. How are they going to match up with Texas? So if there's any game that you're going to watch at 11 a.m., it's going to be this one. But like the first episode, if you have not seen it, I like giving you insurance games, because there's always an opportunity that the major game is a blowout. Just think of what happened just last week with Clemson and Georgia, Florida and Miami. You want to have backup games to be able to put on, and they could be great ones. Now, the backup last week was West Virginia versus Penn State. We all know there was a weather delay, so that kind of foiled the plans. But we'll talk about the 11 a.m. slot with Arkansas going to Oklahoma State. Arkansas's offense looked incredible in week 1. Obviously, it was against Arkansas Pine Bluff, so take it with a grain of salt. But I think this is going to be an electric game. You have Ollie Gore and Taylon Green on the other side of it. I think this is going to be a very interesting matchup to prove how real Arkansas is. And on the flip side, can Oklahoma State stay steady throughout the entire season? Last year, it was an up and down season. Maybe they could be a lot more consistent throughout the rest of the year with that great offensive line. And obviously, like I had mentioned, Ollie Gordon. I'm even giving you another backup option on the 11 a.m. kick with Georgia Tech going to Syracuse. Syracuse is a program that I've kept my eye on for at least an entire offseason. They have brought in a lot of guys that I like. Elijah Robinson is at least a personal favorite of mine, and it seems like Kyle McCord is revitalizing his potential in his career at Syracuse. And not to mention, we've seen Haynes King and Georgia Tech really prove themselves after they beat up on Florida State. Now, maybe that was a win that was kind of overblown, overhyped, because we see how bad Florida State is. This is going to be interesting to see how Georgia Tech can play on the road and potentially prove themselves as, hey, yeah, we beat Florida State. Florida State does suck, but we're more than that. We beat them for a reason, and I think Syracuse is a good test for them. But that's the 11 a.m. slot. So let's move into the middle of the day with 2:30. We have a rivalry game of Iowa State going to Iowa. Is Iowa's offense legit? Are they actually a team that can put points on the board? And Iowa State is a team that I'm very high on. And I know Pate State, if you watch Josh Pate and his college football show, Rocco Becht is a guy that he has talked about ad nauseum. I think this is going to be a fascinating game. But If you're new to college football, you have to realize anything that involves Iowa, it's going to be a gross, muggy defensive game. Do not expect a ton of points, but it is a rivalry game, so I want this on your radar. But if you want something else, wait 30 minutes and go to the 3 p.m. slot for UTSA at Texas State. Now, I'm biased in this. If you did not know, I went to Texas State. And so this is a rivalry game. This is the I-35 rivalry game. These two programs do not like each other. And I know that for a fact because I do not like UTSA. UTSA goes in to play Texas State. Texas State's actually a formidable opponent compared to their previous decade of being horrific. UTSA has a lot of veteran talent there, a great head coach. This is going to be more of a high-scoring game. If you want points on the board, watch this Sun Belt, Fun Belt clash. Obviously, they're not in the same one, but I just have to mention the Sun Belt somehow. I believe it's the American Athletic Conference that UTSA, and I wish they were both in the same conference. Sorry, I didn't mean to confuse you with the Sun Belt thing, but this is where you're going to see the most amount of points. At 6:30, we have Tennessee going into NC State. Now, to my understanding, NC State struggled in their week 1 matchup, and I forget who they played, but you have a ton of transfers coming into the team. This was a team that, though they brought in a great transfer class, was seen as a potential player into the ACC, and they were definitely one of those teams across the entire conference that just struggled overall in week 1. They have a major opportunity with Tennessee coming into town. Tennessee looked incredible like a lot of other SEC teams. Is this going to be a game where ACC teams bounce back? But I just think Nico is must-watch television. If you don't know who I'm referring to, I still have not gotten his last name down, and that is my fault, genuinely. But Nico is their quarterback, a former 5-star electric quarterback. This is a 6'6" quarterback that is a projected number 1 overall pick. He has finally started. He barely missed any passes that he threw last week, and now he actually gets to play someone outside of the bowl game matchup that he had with Iowa last year. This is going to be a fascinating game. But like I said, I'm always going to give you an insurance pick. The backup one is Colorado at Nebraska. Prime time. That's just what we're looking at. Is an incredible matchup between two programs that both look like they are going to make a statement in this game. If you did not watch Colorado last week, watch them this week. This is a crime that both of them play at 6:30. I think the Tennessee one you want to watch just more for Nico because I'm a little bit lower on NC State. But if you want a more competitive, electric matchup, watch Shedeur Sanders versus Dylan Raiola, the former 5-star that went to Nebraska. There's nothing else I really got to say about this. Watch one of these two games. But I will tell you personally, I'm watching the Nebraska-Colorado game just because I think that matchup between Tommy Hill, the cornerback, a projected NFL player at the cornerback position going head-to-head with Travis Hunter, will either launch Travis Hunter into conversations that I don't think a lot of people are prepared for, because when I mentioned that Travis Hunter should be in, best player in the world regardless of position conversations, I got a lot of pushback talking about, it's just North Dakota State. If he's able to torch a real NFL prospect that Tommy Hill is, we're going to have some tough conversations. Even a video is probably going to be made. But let's talk about the final slot, the late night games. Pac-12 After Dark does not exist anymore. And it breaks my heart. But we do have Boise State at Oregon, which just gives off the energy of a Pac-12 After Dark game. You just watched Ashton GT, the running back for Boise State. If you did not know, put like 267 yards on the ground and 6 touchdowns in a basically, I'm going to carry and will this team to a victory. Now gets a huge opportunity to stamp his name as the best running back in a loaded running back class in a test against Oregon. Oregon is coming off a scary game against Idaho, which who would have thought Idaho was going to be the one to scare them. Now, I'll say this, they put up a bunch of yards. It didn't seem like they were playing sloppy football in the sense of they were able to push the ball downfield, but penalties seemed to stop them from scoring points. This is a bounce back game for Oregon. This is just going to be a fascinating game in general. So please prioritize your time. If you're available at 9 o'clock, watch this game. But that's all I got for you. We don't have any Friday games. I don't have any Sunday games for you because if you're watching football, you most likely want to watch the NFL as well. This is the week 1 of the NFL season. Go watch that as well. Like I said, there's some marquee games. I don't want to overlook Texas and Michigan, but I just don't see this as the same Michigan team as last year. The Nebraska-Colorado game is the one that I've circled as game of the week. Like, if you want me to prioritize these and say, what is the game that is can't miss television? That is the one. But I will see you guys in week 3. Like I said, welcome to Rush the Field. I'll say it once again. All I'll ever ask of you is to give me another opportunity to talk football with you. It means the world to me that anyone would give me an opportunity, whether it's a like, a comment, a subscribe, to be back on your, not For You page, but on your suggested, on your subscription feed. Anything genuinely means the world. So I will see you guys next time. Tomorrow, I believe I'm posting the pick'ems, and we're just going to keep the momentum going, guys.